I'm Leslie Et Alia. I'm a woman, I'm a feminist. I am a business owner, small business owner, and I'm a mom. I guess I'm a mom and I'm a wife a couple of times over. So I'm polyamorous and I'm pansexual. So imagine the late 90s.
Okay.
There is no It Gets Better campaign.
Okay.
There's not a lot of information. There are a few gay characters on TV, but it's not... Yeah. It's not... There's no comforting... Like, there's no support network for this sort of thing.
Right.
So when we were younger, my sister identified as lesbian.
Okay.
And she and I had kind of a tumultuous relationship for a long time. So when I was 16, 17... and just kind of started to figure out myself also, I came out as bisexual. There was no term for, there was no pansexual, was not a term when we were younger. It was that I knew I liked anybody, and so that kind of just, the only word I had for that was bisexual. I had a girlfriend when I was 17, she was 16.
How old are you now?
I'm 32 now, so This was a while ago, and I took her to homecoming. We dated for like 6 months. I took her to homecoming, which at my tiny, I grew up in Madison County, Virginia, which is, we didn't get our first stoplight until I was 17, if that gives you an idea of how small my town was.
Yeah.
My senior class was like 115 people. It was very small. So bringing a chick to homecoming was not a great idea.
Ballsy, though.
That was the beginning of the anti-lesbian hate speech that started getting graffiti in our bathrooms.
No.
It was little me. You're welcome. So that was high school, and then I dated boys pretty much exclusively. Well, I dated boys and I slept with girls, but essentially I was in a monogamous relationship for a long time, like one monogamous relationship after another, because not only did I not have language for my sexuality, I did not have language for what some people lump polyamory or non-monogamy in general into a sexual category, like they'll lump it in with LGBT stuff. Mm-hmm. Part of me understands that because it is so ingrained in my mentality that it's hard for me to say, yeah, I could be monogamous for the right person. No, I can't.
Right.
No, I cannot.
Right.
It's a part of me that I can't do it. But there are people who are non-monogamous who can, they just don't want to. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. But it's something I can't. So when I went to college, I joined the Gay Straight Alliance, which we didn't have one in high school. I was super excited to join Unity Alliance, which is what it was called at Longwoods campus. And I met a bunch of exciting feminists and people. Just, it was so good. It was so nice. It was so refreshing after Madison. But I still didn't have the language for it. Like there was no such thing. It did not exist. It of course existed, but I did not know about it. I was not exposed to any of that.
Because you didn't have this language for it, you still didn't fully even understand it, correct?
At all. It got to the point where I understood me more as a sexual being. Okay. So we would joke and we would say omnisexual. Or have you. Like we would joke about the fact that, that it was just people. So, and you would joke at the labeling because you were just coming up with language, which is exactly how any of this, starts.
It's just that pan stuck and omni didn't.
Yeah, right. Anything.
Like androgynous people.
Yeah.
And all of that.
Oh, it doesn't. Yeah. Gender, genitalia, presentation, any of that does not factor into the equation as to whether or not you're attracted to someone.
It's a wonderful thing.
It's. I will agree that it's freeing. Polyamory was a far more scary and so I had language for LGBT, I had language for bisexual, I had language for sexuality. What I did not have language for at all was relationship types. Okay. I think I knew what swinging was, like in the 70s. I knew some concepts, but I did not know what non-monogamy was. So this is when culture really plays a part, right? Yeah. Is that you're supposed to find the guy that you want to be with for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. Well, when I was 18, I thought I had found that person. Yeah. And we had dated for 2.5 years. We became engaged. But the one thing that we could not see eye to eye on, the one thing that would cause well, there were a few more than this one thing. But one of the biggest things that neither of us could manage was this conversation about non-monogamy. I wanted us to be open.
You just realized you were unhappy.
I couldn't. Well, it wasn't even that I was. It's really hard to coalesce into a single. Like it was this. What I wanted another partner. Not really. Or I wanted him to have another partner. Sort of that also. It's that we were young and in college. And the idea that part of it was that the idea that this single relationship, which I got into like the first month, I was 18, I just turned 18, freshman year, first month was fine for like the first year, it was great. And then it was like, wait, this isn't the rest of my life? Wait a second. I don't want to break up with you, but at the same time, this is not how I had planned college being. Like college is supposed to be exciting, supposed to be doing things. So that factored into it a little bit, but really it was that I found myself surprised by how exciting it was that he could go out and date other people or sleep with other people, or I could go out and date or sleep with other people. So there's a thing in the poly community called compersion, and compersion is when you feel happy that your partner is happy. We all feel it. This is not like a magic. Like you feel happy.
This is the opposite of jealousy.
Yeah, it's like it's like when you're living vicariously through your partner. So if your boyfriend,
I'm such a controlling person. I could never.
No, but like take it outside of sex and love.
Okay.
Your boyfriend loves skydiving, and he goes out and he skydives, and he's so thrilled, and you have zero interest in skydiving, maybe. Or maybe you have a passing interest, but you're certainly not into it as much as he is. And you're like, you see how puppy dog happy he is, and you're like, that is great. I'm so happy for you. This makes me so happy that you're so happy. You just happen to feel that when somebody comes home and goes, oh, it's such a great date. And you're like, good job, husband. You had such a great date. And I feel so happy for you.
That is fascinating.
This is what I wanted to feel with those like 18, 19, 20-year-old, when I was in those relationships, when I had other boyfriends. I wanted to feel that. I also wanted the freedom. I'm a natural flirt. I talk to a million people. I wanted the freedom to be able to do that and not feel like I was being judged by my boyfriend or my girlfriend. So I had a couple of failed monogamous relationships where I tried really hard to be monogamous, and it just proved to me how little I was capable of maintaining that style of relationship. And then I met Forrest about 11 years ago now, and Forrest, I just said, I can't. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be monogamous. I can't do it.
Right.
I'm bad at it. First thing. I was like, I'm not.
Wow.
I'm not going to get into a relationship with you without you knowing this about me. And if you can't handle it, I don't want us to have a relationship, because I'm not going to live my life like this anymore. I was 21. And he said, okay. I do believe that just like I am wired this way to some degree, whether or not it's a social wiring or what have you, I am wired this way. Obviously, there are people wired to be monogamous.
Yeah. So it was you and Forrest, and then you started
dating Patrick. So Forrest and I have been together for about 11 years, and then Patrick came in. So it'll be 8 years this summer.
And Forrest was welcoming. And...
yeah, Forrest didn't care. Actually, Forrest really liked it because he worked nights, and I like to go out with friends. But they weren't always people he knew or what have you. This was a guy that he knew and felt comfortable with and safe around, and knew that when I was out with Patrick, that meant I was being taken care of. Yeah. Now, did I really need to be taken care of? Is that kind of a sexist view? Of course. But I can understand wanting your loved one to feel...
it just feels better.
Yeah. A great story about that is the first Halloween after our wedding, he had to work. He worked nights at the time, so he had to work. Patrick and I go to a Halloween party at Micah's house. We go to a Halloween party, like our favorite, biggest Halloween party in the area, and there we get introduced to some people there who are married. And I was like, oh, I just got married, but my husband had to work tonight, so I'm out with him. And they were like, oh, ha ha ha, thinking that
it was a joke.
That I was pretending that this is my boyfriend, and really my husband had to work, but that it's a joke. no, this is really my boyfriend. That's my husband really is at work. It's cool. And they were just like, well, then why did you get married? Because marriage is that sacred institution
Right.
you're supposed to enter. And I was like, because I feel very strongly about my husband. Because marriage is a natural next step for most people when you want to commit yourself to someone. That is what I wanted to do. I just happened to want to do it with multiple people.
Right.
And maybe not again. Maybe I'll never get married again. Maybe they will get married to other people somewhere down the line. We're not going to know until we get to that point. And, you know, of course, we've dated other people together or apart. We've dated the same person separately. We've dated, like, dating is a whole other thing. But the idea that you should or could limit that, and some people do, that's their form of non-monogamy, is that they are polyfidelitous. So polyfidelitous is when you are fidelitous within your poly circle. So if we did not date anyone else, then that would just be us. We'd be a closed triad, right? Wow. But we do, so we're an open triad. So we dated for a long time, and then and he and Patrick started, they build their relationship, and Patrick stood as a groomsman at our wedding,
nice.
And it was really nice. And then we moved in with each other after that wedding, and then we've had this house. And
is there any romance between?
Yes, there is. Well, that's the thing, right? Is that they have a different relationship. They get different things from each other than they get from me.
Course.
So they have a different relationship, but they absolutely have a relationship,
wow.
which is not. I mean, again, everybody has different ways of doing this. There are very successful V relationships. V meaning that they. Like if
there's
this
one
were,
access,
right? There's one access, and then the relationship is separate. But almost inevitably, if you're gonna live together, we consider like friendships. We consider relationships. Yeah. They just happen to be friendships. Yeah. And this gets into that language of, you know, when is your friend your partner? When is your partner your friend? Like, you know, like you start to meld or blur these lines a little bit when you get into these sorts of things.
Also, for people who may be interested in this, everything you're doing is legal.
Right. Well, we're not. So this is the thing. Bigamy is when you try to have two legally issued marriage licenses. Polygamy, when people say polygamy is literally just multiple marriages, many marriages. The same way polyamory is many loves. Yeah. So polygamy is, yes, this is many marriages. I am committing polygamy. Legally, though, we don't have bigamy. There's
only one marriage.
There's only one marriage license. The other marriage is purely spiritual, which is fine for us.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about this. For a long time, when I was younger, the things I were afraid of were pretty normal. I'm still scared of heights, whatever, you know, poisonous snakes, dinosaurs. Not a logical one.
Really?
Hate them. The thing I think I'm most afraid of now, as an older person, and not losing my family, things like that, I think are normal anxieties for people to have. The thing I am afraid of is being told that my version of reality is not real.
Ooh.
Waking up in a mental institution.
Ooh.
or you know, being told that the life that I feel that I have lived in the last several, 10, 15, 20 years, my whole life, was a lie. Like, legitimately, you've been living in a padded cell, and everything that you have known has been something that you made up in your head.
Wow.
That is my fear. That is a big fear.
So you think about that often?
I think about it enough that I can qualify it as my biggest fear.
Wow. Legitimate.
Isn't that an awful thing to think?
That is a scary thing.
Or I could be in a coma right now, and when I wake up, and it turns out it's because I was hit by a car, but my brain was like, screw that. Being hit by a car sucks, so we're just gonna pretend like we kept going.
And make up this whole other reality.
Yeah. I hope that I don't raise a serial killer. Okay. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I hope that the projects that I'm working on currently, the whole small business owner thing, I hope that those are successful. I think this isn't my biggest fear. I think it's a normal anxiety that you are unsuccessful at work and therefore you're a burden on your loved ones, or you're unsuccessful at life in some small way. Yeah. So part of what I hope for is to not be that burden, to not create those practically unnecessary, because when you own your own business, you're taking a gamble. And kind of not raising a serial killer bundles into that. You hope that the time that you spend doing the things that you do in your life will be worthwhile.
Be well spent.
So, right, will be well spent, that your time was not wasted. Mm-hmm. I hope that I can continue to be successful. And I think that that's totally out of all the things to hope for. Like, I'm not hoping to be a millionaire,
right.
Whatever. I don't want to burn everything down.
Right. You just want to be successful.
Yeah. I just want to be it's my own modicum of success, my own American dream. I think in conclusion, the thing I would say is that if you think it probably is something that can happen. Yeah. If you can imagine a game or a way of living, a relationship, a style, it's probably real already. Yeah. Like, it's probably already something you can find a support network for. You just have to go looking for it. Yeah. And don't let a lack of language, don't let a lack of context keep you from being able to do that thing. Like, you can. Yeah. You'll figure it out. Yeah. And it does get better. Everything gets better. I'm a grown woman. I got 2 husbands, card game, a baby. I got 2 cats, a house. Right. I live in suburbia.
Life
America.
keeps getting better.
Yeah. All right. Good.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
Beautifully
Thank you.
With the dating, if you hit it off with someone really well, do you see you like bringing someone else into the family eventually, or are you good with
I would be fine with that. Yeah. God knows I could use an extra wife around here.
Oh, wow.